So I wanted to welcome you on our show, Sports Talk and the Success Table, and get it all started with how did you get involved with football, Mr. Baker?
Oh man, just call me Bake. Even though I am 57, man,
The TD maker.
yes, I appreciate you respecting that, but just call me Bake, man. Um, ever since I was a little kid, growing up in San Antonio, Texas, I was a diehard cowboy fan. So I used to watch them all the time because that's all they showed out there, and I became a fan of them. And I'm like, man, football is fun. So I used to take a football, hike it through my legs, catch it, throw it, and go, and then go catch the ball. And I had a love affair. Most kids today, they play Madden and all that stuff. Back in our days, we had the little metal football field that you plug in the wall and it vibrated 22 players to play football. And I said, you know what, I want to play this one day. So I was in, I don't know, maybe second grade, and the kids were out on the football field playing. And I asked them, could I play? And they said, sure. And I didn't really know what to do. So back then, the guys used to be like this, the little men on the game blocking. So they put me on the line, and I just stood there like this. And a guy ran around and hit the running back and burst his nose wide open. It was bleeding, and they kind of thought I did it on purpose. So they put me back there and pitched me the ball. And when I got the ball, I saw what happened to him, man. I ran so fast, and that first time I touched it, I went for a touchdown. And I've been in love with it ever since. I knew right then and there this is something I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
I hear you, man. So,
Yeah.
TD, what and who were some of your role models?
Oh man, growing up, definitely my mom. She was a single parent raising my brother and myself, and growing up in the tough streets of Los Angeles and keeping us away from the gangs and whatnot. As you can see behind me, I'm still a nerd with video games, and it's all accredited to her because she used to buy us the latest and greatest system to keep us in the house and keep us grounded. While everybody else was playing, you probably too young to remember, a game called Pong on a black and white TV going back and forth. We had in television, which was little robotic men playing football and doing all these sorts of things. So I have to say my mom, man, because she kept us grounded, and my brother and I both turned out successful. We grew up, respectful and doing the right things, and still doing it to this day.
So it was like Tecmo Bowl, right?
Yeah, this was before Tecmo. It was put it this way, it was a step below Tecmo Bowl, a big step, because when Tecmo Bowl came out, of course, I had to get it, especially when they showed me on there and it says the touchdown maker. I couldn't resist, man. And I've been a gamer all my life, and like I said, I owe it all to mom. And as far as athletes, I was a Cowboy fan, so I looked up to Drew Pearson, and I also liked Lynn Swan, but I was a student of the game, so I watched all the receivers in the league. From Reggie Rucker from the Cleveland Browns. I can mention names you wouldn't even know these guys. Dave Logan from the Browns. I used to just watch all of them and try to emulate them. And I would say Lynn Swan was the guy I tried to emulate the most because of his jumping ability. He always jumped up over defensive backs to go get the ball. And I think his ballet had something to do with that. But I did gymnastics, so I knew how to tumble. So I was never afraid of getting low bridged or upended, as they call it now. Now it's called hitting a defenseless player.
Definitely. Hey, the game it's kind of trying to protect the players. So
I get it. And you know what I say to that too? And don't get me wrong, I'm all for that. I was pretty blessed. I don't think I have a slight form of CTE, but maybe if you see me buying all these cabinets back here. But it just took a certain amount of guts back then, to go across the middle, because as you well know, once the ball went off your fingertips, as long as it was in the air, you were still alive. So they could just come KO you. But when you see some of the guys that are suffering really bad from it, it's 90, I don't know the exact statistics, but it seems like it's more so the defensive players, because they use their bodies as weapons, and mainly back then their heads, to really, we call it tattooing or laying wood to somebody. So I'm all in favor of them with the tackling and not using the helmet as a weapon. But some of the rules, I mean, Come on, Tom Brady could play till he's 58 years old now because you can't even touch the quarterback. You tackled him too low. You tackled him. You touched his head. I mean, you know, God bless him though.
Hey, hey, his success on the football field, you can't really go against it, man.
Absolutely not. And I tell you, I always touted Joe Montana as the best ever, and I had to relinquish that when Brady beat the Falcons with that comeback at halftime. I mean, that's it.
28-3, man.
I mean, a great example of don't come down and celebrate. You saw the owner for the Falcons and his wife
Definitely.
like it was over.
Hey, they did that in the locker room too. That's
Oh,
what
did
I've
they
heard.
really?
That's what I've heard. The
Okay.
the corner or the safety on that team, Al something. I forgot his last name.
Hmm.
But getting back to your journey, what were some of your favorite moments at Fresno State?
Wow, man. Gosh, Fresno was probably, well, junior college is where I had the most fun. But when I got to Fresno, it was the first time I ever participated or performed in front of 30,000 people. And of course, I had the nickname and everything. And I dropped my first touchdown, a quick slant. And I never forget the next day, the papers wrote Stephen Baker, the touchdown faker. And we didn't have social media then, so it didn't travel like it would today, but it was known in the Fresno Bee when they said that. And I never read my press clippings. I'm sorry about that.
You're fine.
Um, but I happened to see that one, and it kind of, I said I'm gonna have the best week I ever had of practice. And we're playing the Oregon State Beavers the following week, and I went for 98 yards off the 2-yard line. They threw me a bomb, and that's how I got the respect back. And then I want to say a little earlier on, they put me back there for a punt return because our starting punt returner got injured, and there was a penalty on the play as well. And that was my first time ever returning a punt. I went 85 yards, and that's how I was born, man. After that, I was beaming with confidence, and you know, winning the Cow Bowl. I mean, actually, we only lost 2 games in my 2 years there, so it was a lot of fun. I averaged over 28 yards a catch. Um, we we were 15th ranked in the nation, which was, it was so cool. I still love Fresno to this day, man. I watched the last 2 games they played. We should have beat Oregon this past game. We fumbled late in the game, but we made it a game, and that's our motto at Fresno. We'll play anybody, anywhere, anytime, and bring 10,000 fans with us.
I hear you, man. There's been a lot of great talent to go to the NFL that went there.
Yeah, and the guys I looked up to were Henry Ellert and Stephon Page. Stephon played with the Chiefs, and Henry played with the Rams, and they were like the first 2 successful guys that really kind of paved the way for making that like wide receiver university. And also that league back in the day was called the PCAA, and that's where the NFL went for their shifty receivers and defensive backs that could cover real well.
Definitely.
Also, Mark Collins went to a Cal State Fullerton, and I played against him, and he got drafted the next year. And
definitely the first
so they
round.
look at those matchups.
Yeah.